I'm really excited to be here. So one, thanks for everyone who's joining us. We appreciate your time. We're so excited about the addition of the Sunbelt 19th sponsored sport, so beach volleyball. And we can't be more fired up to add it. Beach volleyball is the fastest growing collegiate sport over the past 5 years, with 176 participating institutions at all levels of NCAA, NAIA, NJCAA, and there are 67 NCAA Division I beach volleyball programs, and that number is growing rather quickly. So we're excited to be a part of it in this way. Beach volleyball is a great geographic fit for the Sun Belt. There are 176 institutions that sponsor beach volleyball at all levels, and 55 of those programs are within the 10-state footprint of the Sun Belt. Obviously, the weather in our region is perfect for the sport of beach volleyball. Georgia State is a two-time NCAA championship participant, and last year they advanced to the Final Six, so which is outstanding accomplishment for them, and something that we're really proud of. I'd be remiss to kind of act as though Sun Belt hasn't been involved in beach volleyball up until this point, because we have been. We partnered with the Coastal Collegiate Sports Association, the CCSA, in terms of helping grow the sport with Sunbelt schools and other schools. And we'll also co-host a conference championship in 2023 with the CCSA. And I do want to just take a moment to thank Ted Gumbart, the commissioner of the Atlantic Sun, and Jerome Rogers, the deputy commissioner of the Atlantic Sun, also working with the CCSA, because volleyball wouldn't be possible. The Sunbelt volleyball wouldn't be possible without their great work. So our first conference championship is scheduled for April 27th through the 29th at the John Hunt Sand Volleyball Complex in Huntsville, Alabama. And the Beach Volleyball National Championship takes place in Gulf Shores, which is obviously just kind of down at the bottom of the state, so not too far from Huntsville, and that's not too far from Foley, Alabama, where we contest our cross-country championship, our women's soccer championship, and also our indoor volleyball championship. So the Gulf Coast in general has been a great fit for Sunbelt championships. And Sunbelt Basketball Championship will also be in Pensacola. I would also be remiss if I didn't take a moment to thank a couple folks from the NCAA. So Joni Comstock, who is the Senior Vice President for championships, and then also Kristen Fosbender, who's the Managing Director of championships at the NCAA. Without their help, they certainly, we wouldn't have got to this point, of getting beach volleyball off the ground as a sponsored kind of Sunbelt sport. So, and the NCAA championship is 16-team single elimination format, and the Sunbelt will have an automatic qualifier to that championship. So, can't be more excited about that. So, with that, I will stop. I'll certainly answer any questions before we turn it over to the coaches. But I can't say I can't say enough about just how excited we are to start beach volleyball and to really get going with a sport that certainly is important in our region and growing as fast as it is.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Gill. If anyone has any questions for Commissioner Gill, please just use the raise hand function and I will call on you. Any questions for Commissioner Gill? All right. Before we get to
for the first time in my life, I was thorough enough to make sure there were no questions. So, but certainly, just thanks for everyone for being here. It's great. And we can't wait to get started. So thanks very much.
Commissioner Gill, we will now hear from the coaches of the Sunbelt Conference. We'll start with Coastal Carolina. Steve.
Yeah, thank you. And, thanks to Commissioner Gill and the Sunbelt Conference for pushing this sport forward. I've been around this sport since its inception 11 years ago. Back then we had 15 schools, and like you said, it's just exploded. And the fact that we can have a conference that is going to do things the right way and promote our student athletes and give them the experience that they deserve with all the hard work they're doing. We're excited to be a part of this. This will be our third conference in 3 years. So to have a home for our team and our girls and our university, it's really an exciting time for us and for the sport of beach volleyball. So I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Coach. College of Charleston, Damian.
Yeah, again, thank you to Commissioner Gill and everyone affiliated with the Sun Belt Conference. We appreciate the invitation and all the work that you guys have put into it just to get to this point. Myself, just like Steve, I was around for the original 15 in a different capacity and have taken a break. And it's been a little bit of a whirlwind here at College of Charleston with some coaching changes and knowing that the Sun Belt is going to be the stability for us, and all of beach volleyball, all of the wonderful leadership that's now in the Sun Belt Conference is amazing for us and the student athletes that we're hoping are going to experience an exciting and hopefully in the near future some rivalries in a conference that feels like we can actually have conference schedule and do some things that aren't just leading up to a tournament. We all see each other once a year. So the Sun Belt is clearly taking steps towards that, and we appreciate it for our sake and for the sake of beach volleyball.
Thank you, Coach. Georgia State, Beth.
I think everybody's going to continue to echo the thoughts that Steve shared of thanking Commissioner Gill and thanking everyone at the Sun Belt to get beach volleyball started. It's been such a journey watching it grow from the first year, and it's incredible to see where we are now. I think one of the neatest things about this is walking around our sports facilities here on campus. We have all these posters that talk about every team's ranking in the Sun Belt, and for years the beach volleyball team has had a 0 next to it. So it's going to be really fun to join the rest of our school and compete in the Sun Belt and help to contribute to what the athletics department is doing. And also all of the coaches on this call, all of these teams are phenomenal programs and will continue to challenge each other and help each other grow. And it's just an incredible experience for the student athletes to have the stability of a forever home in a conference where the Sun Belt is doing everything they can to do it all right. So thank you for having us.
Thank you, Coach. ULM, Michael.
Yeah, just echoing the thank you to the Sun Belt for giving us that forever home for beach volleyball. I know here at ULM, all the other sporting really take into consideration of what the Sun Belt does for them and how great they run their programs. And on our beach team right now, we host the SAC president and vice president of the Sun Belt, even though we weren't involved with them until right now. So we've been ready for this change, and we're super excited about it, and getting to play against some really great competition is always nice.
Thank you, Coach. Mercer, Josh.
Yeah, like everybody else has said, I just want to thank Commissioner Gill and all the other individuals that were instrumental in bringing this addition to the Sun Belt. Mercer and the beach program, they appreciate the invite, and we look forward to being a part of something that has a possibility to be really, really special. If one word would be used to kind of describe how myself along with my teammates, my team feels about this change, it would be excited. They're really fired up and they're ready to get after it. This is my 5th year at the helm of the beach volleyball team, so this is actually my first year where my roster is made entirely up of people that I've recruited. That being said, this transition, I think, is coming at what I perceive as just a really good opportune time, and it just feels right. I spent the last 4 seasons cultivating and building a culture for the program that challenges the athletes not only on the sand but also in the classroom. And I think the Sun Belt will only help to accelerate their growth in those aspects. So that's good. On kind of a funny note, my daughter just committed to play volleyball at University of North Florida. So this move has also probably alleviated some household tension where I will no longer have to coach against my own kid. So that's a good thing too. Finally, I'm just really looking forward to working with Commissioner Gill and my fellow coaches. As like we said, we get an automatic bid into the national championship, but I think all of our goals need to be, 2 to 3 years down the road, we're getting some at-large bids also. So let's get after it, coaches. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach. Southern Miss, Sean.
That'll help. Here we go. As we looked and started making the transition to Sunbelt for other sports at our university, it was hard just not having a home. And the excitement that Keith and Kathy and Travis and some of the other staff brought when they were on campus meeting was contagious. And then seeing them kind of work, or knowing that the effort they're putting in behind the scenes just gives me a positive feeling about where it's going. As other coaches have said, we haven't really had a concrete home, which makes it really hard to kind of plan and guide your program. And so that enthusiasm from the conference, we're looking forward to it. We're looking forward to what the Sun Belt brings. Also knowing that we can compete, or I guess contribute to the Bubas Cup, because that's a big thing, having been part of the Sun Belt before. And then the feedback coming from all the fall sports that competed in postseason play for Sun Belt. Just the level of the championships that you guys bring and provide. They were over the moon with what you guys were able to give for the student athletes. And along those lines, I think when you look at the teams, whether it's the Sun Belt teams or the affiliates that are going to help comprise this conference, there's a lot of parity, and it's going to be good competitive volleyball across the board. And there's room to grow. I think as we continue to grow the sport, and as has been mentioned, it's the fastest growing sport ever. We still have the ability to take on extra teams and make this thing great.
Thank you, Coach. SFA, Alex.
Yeah, I just wanted to say a huge thank you to the whole Sunbelt staff. It's clear that they've been really diligent and have been doing their research and providing a great service to us as coaches, and more importantly, the student athletes. That's the biggest thing for me. Is much like Steve at Coastal, this will be our third conference in 3 years, and I know that I, as a coach, feel a huge responsibility to my athletes to make sure that we have something to play for, we have goals, we have structure to our season, and to be able to be a part of the Sun Belt now, it's clear that it's important to them to produce a quality product and to be organized, and that's, myself and my team are really excited about that. Also want to echo what Josh said. We're a newer program, so this will be our 4th season, and it just feels like we finally have a full roster. It feels like a true year one, and so to be able to transition into this conference at this time just feels really exciting as well. I'm also just majorly excited about the group of coaches in this conference. It's just good people, and it's good programs, and it's going to be good competition. And I think it's a great fit. And I'm really thankful for the work that the conference has done to get it organized and push the sport forward and work to get an AQ quick this season. Like that's ultimately, like I said, that really comes back down to the student athlete experience. And I think that can't be overlooked. I think that's huge. And so I want to extend my gratitude to them. So thank you.
Thank you, Coach. We'll go to UNCW, either Dottie or David.
Hi, guys. This is David. Everyone's taken everything I was going to say. Obviously, huge thanks to Commissioner Gill and everyone on the staff for making a seamless transition. It makes a lot of sense for conferences to have some geographic proximity, and we're certainly close to Charleston and Coastal, so that makes a ton of sense. Like Sean said, this is the nicest, hardest working group of coaches. And as others have said, we're in the fastest growing collegiate sport. And I would argue it's the best sport. It teaches these young women problem solving. It teaches overcoming obstacles. They set up the courts. It teaches autonomy. Things aren't done for them day in and day out. So even though things are going to be laid out for them beautifully at the conference tournament, at practice, they set up the lines, they rake the courts, they do the nets, they bring the balls. And I just think that that instills a maturity and helps build character, unlike any other sport that I've seen.
All right, thank you, Coach. We'll go to questions from the media. I do have one that was submitted, but before we get to that, I'll ask if any media who are on the Zoom have a question, please just use the raise hand function and I will call on you. We'll go to Noah. Noah, go ahead.
Hey, Beth, this is for you. Obviously, your program's had success over the last couple of years. What are you most excited about coming into this conference, and what challenges is it going to present?
We have been really lucky to have the success that we've had. We've worked super hard for it. We've had an incredible administration behind us, supporting us along the way. So coming into the Sun Belt, first of all, I think the group of coaches and the teams that we're going to be competing against is going to continually push all of us to grow, to evolve, to problem solve in different ways. This is certainly a community that's going to be fantastic rivals in the sense of helping to get the best out of each program. So I'm excited to learn and compete with this group of schools. And ultimately, I think it's going to be so much fun at the conference tournament for all of us to be battling out to get that AQ to get to the national championship.
And Sean, I'll ask one more. This is kind of for Josh and Alex. You guys are kind of on the far reaches of the conference footprint here. What are the travel challenges that this will present for your programs?
I mean, I've been feeling like I've been doing Tetris for the last 4 years with my budget, so this isn't going to be a big switch. I think if you put the planning into it, you can make anything happen. As far as geographic goes, I mean, we travel to Florida a lot anyway during our season, so I don't foresee there being any major hiccups moving forward with this conference.
Yeah, it is challenging. You know, we talk about as coaches, sometimes we're not the most well-funded sport. And so from a travel standpoint, yeah, sometimes these weekends add up. And again, just to echo what I said earlier, I mean, I feel a huge responsibility and pressure to my athletes to provide them, you know, a full schedule, a challenging schedule, and now a responsibility kind of to our conference to make sure that we're trying to see each other and have accurate seating. And but I will say my administration as well is very supportive. Also just our network and our families, our sort of circle of our program is really all into our sport and to our people. And so they are really supportive in helping us have the full experience of what a beach season should be and a beach season within a good conference should be. So I think the biggest challenge will be, you know, I want to see all of these teams live. I want to play everyone. I want to be able to just really get a feel for everyone else's teams. It was really hard for us in previous years with different conferences. You know, it came to end of the year voting for conference awards, and I had just not seen any of them. And I was just looking at a sheet of paper, you know, looking at records, and I just want to do better justice to not just that, but, you know, obviously the whole experience. So it will be a challenge, but something that our whole organization is excited about. So.
Any other questions from the media on this call? All right, we did have one submitted in advance. This one is for Beth. If you could speak to the experience of competing in and making a deep run in the NCAA championship last year.
I could speak about that for hours. It was, well, one, I think all of the teams on this call, we all know what it feels like to be the underdog. And when you're fighting, when you're going to get up against some of this, you know, the bigger, well-known schools, more reputable programs, we have nothing to lose. And being able to help a team and help these young women understand that giving your best despite the risk, despite if you might lose, and just to give your best and put your whole heart out there and watch them be able to do that for each other was truly one of the most inspiring moments of my career. And there's all sorts of points along the way, but getting to see the joy that the team created for themselves because they worked so hard for each other every day in and out of practice was, you know, is obviously incredible levels of play and so many challenges, but it was just neat to see the smiles and the joy in their eyes as they were making the run and really getting to be a bit of the Cinderella team, I think, in that tournament.